Okay.
Just leave it up next to the book itself.
Yeah, there you go.
That way, after Rabbi E. Gabbis, you can just bring it up.
We'll find out. Good.
Oh, wow.
We are going to get started right on time in about a minute.
Cool.
Wanted to say hi.
It's so nice to see you.
Hey,
Francis Cooperman.
how's it going?
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
How you doing?
Glad to see you.
I'm hanging
That
in
makes
there.
so much sense. I miss Carol. She was such a
I'm gonna
love.
have some tea now.
Yeah, we're blessed. I'm so glad
I
we
didn't
can honor her today.
expect that,
So,
Yeah.
but they
nice to see you both.
they called me and said
goodness.
my rate of
How are things going
ha-
over the
having a new
sabbatical?
account is 41%.
So far, so good.
And the normal
have a
is
standby
between
rabbi.
25 and 30.
Yeah, he's gonna pop in for
Sound
some
like
of the
really
tourist
high.
service. We're
So-
very blessed.
Kick it into high gear and kick it fast.
Yeah,
It
so I
is
have,
probably live, just as an FYI.
Yes.
So whatever
Oh.
you're hearing is probably what the community's hearing.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We're gonna get started, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Page 24. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashanah, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem Shalom, Malachei Hashanah, Malachei Elyon. הקדוש ברוך שיחם ושלום מלכי השלום מלכי עליון מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I would like to invite Kay Cooperman and Debbie Leedy to light our candles, our Shabbat candles. And if everyone would please rise and turn to pages 2 and 3 for the candle blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen.
Blow that one out.
Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. We now turn to page 20 for Lechato D. We will sing verses 1, 2, and 5, and we'll rise for verse 9 when we welcome the Shabbat bride. Lechato D, page 20. remain standing for the Baruch.
Page 28.
Page 28. Please remain standing. Turn to page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Yahutu Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated and join me in chanting Ve'ahavta, page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam ve'shitecha beveitecha uvelechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam neot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot beineinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'hiyot lahem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet.
Please turn to page 39, and we will read responsively in English. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
I'm on the wrong page. Okay, page 42, and we'll read in English. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Israel, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Yismechu, page 44. Rabbi Einstein, you want to come join us? I mean. Come on up.
Shabbat, Korei, Oneg Shabbat, Mekadeshei Shvi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbe'u, Me'tandu, Mitvecha Shabbat, Yismechu, B'malakutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat, Korei, Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu, B'malakutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat, Korei, Oneg Shabbat, Yashvi, רצית בו וקידשתו שבת, חמדת ימים, אותו קראת שבת, וישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קורא עונג שבת, וישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קורא עונג שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קורא עונג שבת, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג Thank you. And just to prove that I do know other Jewish songs, everybody come back on December 24th when I will be up here alone doing everything. Catherine is off and Jenna is off, and so come, I'm going to need all the help I can get.
You need no help, sir.
Please rise and join us for the Amidah. It begins on page 46. We will read the Avot, Yevurot, and Kedushah from pages 46 through 52 aloud. And we will then read silently from pages 54 through 63. You can pray the words on the page or the words that are on your heart. When you've completed your silent prayers, you may be seated. Page 46.
Adonai, sefatai tiftach, uvi agid tehiratecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Elohei Bilcha, Elohei Zilpah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chazdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geula libnei bneihem, L'man Shemo be'ava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah, Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechakel chaim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha b'gevurot, U'mido melech, Melech memit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat halachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, Kedoshim b'chol yom yahallelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Okay, it's time for our Torah service. Please rise while as the ark is open.
The Torah service can be found beginning on page 246. Page 246. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udvar Adonai b'Yerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'havod. Ki chol v'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki chol v'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'hamit na'asei, lecha lerosh.
This week's Torah portion, Vayagash, went up, and is the penultimate portion before the end of the book of Genesis. It tells the story of Joseph, who finally reveals his identity to his brothers, and it leads up to the end of the longest unbroken narrative in the Torah, chapters 37 through 50. Vayigash opens with Joseph's brother Judah pleading with Joseph to allow their youngest brother Benjamin to return home to Jacob, their father. After Benjamin is caught with Joseph's silver goblet, used by Joseph for divination, inside the mouth of Benjamin's bag. Therefore, please let your servant remain as a slave to my Lord instead of the boy, and let the boy go back with his brothers. For how can I go back to my father unless the boy is with me? Let me not be witness to the woe that would surely overtake my father. Judah's words illustrate how much he has changed. Judah's transformation can only be understood by going back to Judah's initial behavior towards Joseph. What do we gain by killing our brother and covering up his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, but let us not do away with him ourselves. After all, he is our own brother, our own flesh. Notice the callousness of Judah's suggestion. He speaks of the evil of murder simply as a pragmatic calculation. What will we gain? At the very moment Judah calls Joseph our brother, our own flesh, Judah is plotting to sell Joseph as a slave. However, Judah, more than anyone else in the Torah, changes. The man that offers to take Benjamin's place as Joseph's slave is no longer the same man that spoke when Joseph was trapped in a pit. Judah is willing to suffer what he once inflicted on Joseph so that the same fate should not befall Benjamin. It is at this point that Joseph reveals his true identity to his brothers. And it is precisely Judah's changing character that causes Joseph to choose this particular time to reveal his true identity. Joseph wants to know if Judah has changed, and Judah has. Judah becomes the first penitent, the first Ba'al Teshuvah in the Torah. This is the second critical time in the Torah that Judah proves he has changed. The first is the familiar story of Tamar, who distinguishes herself as a prostitute in order to trick and sleep with Judah. After being with one another, Tamar steals Judah's seal, cord, and staff. When Judah discovers Tamar's pregnancy, he orders her to be stoned to death, believing she has had a forbidden relationship. Tamar then returns to Judah his seal, cord, and staff, proving that Judah is the father of her child. And Judah admits he was wrong, saying, "She was more righteous than I." This is the first time in the Torah that someone acknowledges their own guilt, and is also the turning point in Judah's life. Judah demonstrates the ability to recognize one's own wrongdoing, to feel remorse, and to change. And this is the often complex process known as teshuvah. This is the beginning of what later leads to the great scene in tonight's parashah, where Judah is capable of changing his behavior and doing the opposite of what he had once done before. One verse in the Talmud seems to illustrate how Judah demonstrates one of the fundamental adages of teshuvah. Rabbi Abahu said, "In the place where penitents stand, even the perfectly righteous cannot stand." Tractate Berachot 34b. However great an individual may be in virtue or his or her own natural character, greater still is one who is capable of growth and change. I was not an easy teenager to live with. I was often sullen, frequently argumentative, and almost always angry. I left home at 17, assuming I had the answers to all of life's questions. By the time I was in my 20s, not much had changed. I was still angry, argumentative, and sullen, and my attitude caused many, many fights with my parents. No matter what they did to try and make things nice for my sisters and myself, I found fault with it, and their efforts would often end with screaming and crying and me slamming the door on my way out. At 28, after having been married and divorced, I finally decided I needed to see a therapist. Now, my main goal was to talk about how cruel and uncaring my parents were and get advice on how to deal with them. To my surprise, the therapist asked if I wanted to have a relationship with my parents, and then told me I had two choices: either walk away and become estranged from them, or begin to realize what I had done wrong, change my behavior, and not repeat the unhealthy behavior that caused so many arguments and tears. It would be several years before I converted to Judaism and learned about the concept of teshuvah, but it was then that I began to practice its principles. First, I had to admit to my parents that I had been wrong throughout my teens and 20s, and I had to acknowledge and take responsibility for hurting them. Second, I had to apologize for my behavior and for how badly I had acted. And third, I had to promise that I would change by not exhibiting any of the angry and argumentative behaviors that kept us from being close. After a year or so of working on myself, I was finally at a point where I could go out for Sunday morning breakfast with them and share in pleasant conversation. We eventually joined a bowling league and went out for pie afterwards. Holidays and birthdays were much more enjoyable and didn't dissolve into screaming matches and/or tears. Once I realized my parents did the best they could when I was growing up, and once I was ready to take responsibility for my actions, things got infinitely better. I have since lost both my parents, but I can honestly say that when they each died, I had no regrets, and my relationship with each of them was as good as it had ever been. Most of us have things in our lives that would benefit from our practicing teshuvah. It requires self-reflection, humility, the ability to take responsibility for one's actions and apologize for the wrongs we have done to another person. We must profoundly change so that we're not tempted to repeat our selfish behavior in the future. We need only look at Judah's life for an example of true teshuvah. We can go from being callous and unfeeling to being responsible for our actions, learning how to feel remorse, and experience true change. This is teshuvah. May we all examine our behavior to determine what it is we need to change and how we can practice the principles of teshuvah in our lives. Shabbat shalom.
Nancy, I should just mention that it's pretty common after somebody gives a talk that everyone says, oh, Yasher Koach, that was really good. This wasn't a speech that was really good. This was a Torah lesson based here, and then here, and then to us. And we are truly in your debt for sharing yourself in this way and how Torah has touched you.
Thank you.
And I can say, Yasher Koach.
Thank you.
And now we get to hear the high point of the portion, as mentioned, when Joseph does reveal himself. So I will alert you to where you can find the reading. And it is in the larger blue book, the Torah commentary, on page 282. As you heard, we are in Parashat Vayigash, and we're in chapter 45 at the very first verse. That's Pasuk Aleph, right-hand side, in the Hebrew, and 282. Our reader is going to be Holly Gordon. And when her husband comes up, he will find out that even though I took great pains to note down his name, of course, where I put the paper, I bet there are other people in the room who have run into this kind of a problem. So come on forward. Na la'amod. Chaim Huna. Ben Yehuda. Ubonya. Good, I got it. With a little help.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Ba'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Notain HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'lo yachol Yosef lahitapek l'chol hanitzavim alav vayikra hotziu kol ish me'alai v'lo amad ish ito v'hidvaday Yosef el echav vayitain et kolo b'chi v'yishmeu Mitzrayim v'yishmeu beit Paro Vayomer Yosef el echav Ani Yosef ha'od avichai v'lo yachlu echav la'anot oto ki nifhalu mipanav Vayomer Yosef el echav Geshu na elai Vayigashu Vayomer Ani Yosef achichem asher mechartem oti Mitzrayma. And And then Joseph could not control himself before all that stood by him, and he cried, "Cause every man to go out from me." And no man stood with him, while Joseph made himself known to his brothers. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians heard, and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Does my father still live?" And his brothers could not answer him, for they were very shocked at his presence. And Joseph said to his brothers, "Come near to me, please." And they came near. And he said, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt."
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. And we'll, first of all, say a real yasher koach to our Torah reader. You read the Hebrew with the exact same perfect expression that you did the English. It was very clear that you learned, really learned this text, not just to read it, but to get it. And you got it. And now we offer a Mishaberach for you. Mishaberach Avotenu Abraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech et Chaim Huna ben Yehuda Ubunya. Ba'avur she'ala likvod hamakom v'likvod haTorah v'likvod haShabbat. B'schar zeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishmarehu v'yatzilehu mikol tzara v'tzukah mikol nega u'machla. V'yishlach bracha b'atzlacha v'chol ma'asei yadav imkol Yisrael ben Omar. Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless Howard Gordon, who has come to the Torah in honor of God, in honor of the Torah, in honor of Shabbat, and I think I can say also in honor of his wife. And so may Howard continue to merit from the Holy One of blessing, protection, rescue from any trouble or distress, and from any illness, minor or serious. May God send blessing and success to his every worthwhile endeavor together with all of us, and we say, Amen. Not whatever. There you go. And Nala Amod Hagba'u Galila, we're going to call up, we're going to do Mishaberach first. Thank you. I'm glad that we've got a guy in the back who comes to shul and knows what's going on. Okay, come on up. We offer a prayer for those who are ill, and I would like to, before Jenna offers the Mishaberach, I'd like to mention the names of those that we're particularly thinking of on this Shabbat. Leo Abrahams, Heather Artunian, Fran Bowie, Nancy Danger, who is clearly getting better, but we want complete healing, Larry Dratch, Patrick Freeman, Pilar Gill, Jennifer Hansel, Laura Hedber, Marty Heimlich, Risa Heller, Julie Holdaway, Savannah Jackson, Sherry Jones, Philip Klein, Rachel Corazim, Joan Lerner, Nestor Meto, Yasmin Moreno, Jeanette Ruby, Karsten Strybe, Aviva Bat Moralea, Chayalea Bat Miriam, Sarah Rivka Bat Nisan, Esther Malka Chana Bat Yerut, Belville Moshe Ben Mara Leah. And do we have any other names to be mentioned tonight? You may say it out loud if you like. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I know that the hands would be many when I said, how many of you have gone into a room and then asked yourself, why exactly did I walk in here? So I'm happy to report that I not only am one of you, but I found the paper that I was looking for. It was down here at the bottom. So all is good. So now we're going to call up Mike Tucker and Carly Hughes for Hagba and Galila. Please stand. No, thank you. Although it's listed first, I don't know why. Is that right? Aleinu, page 282.
Kecha
Please be seated. We prepare for the Kaddish. Let's look at page 289. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades. Its substance is consumed and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down and gutters. There's an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. As we recite Kaddish tonight, we're thinking of a number of people. And there is a custom that many follow that when you hear the name of your loved one, if you'd like to stand at that point, you certainly may. We're thinking of Lillian Albert, Meyer Band, John Harry Bell, Chaim Boxenbaum, Sylvia Buganim, Jane Braverman, Leonard A. Brochner, Ida Kogan, Philip Kogan, Carol Cooperman, Esther Frankel, Joseph Gershwin, Mary Goldhammer, Beatrice Gordon, Morris Gutterman, Bernard Carlin, Beverly Kohlmeister, Sam Colliden, Blanche Katinsky, Albert Lassoff, Irving Neft, Mary Louise Penny, Carolyn Perutka, Cleo Phillips, Isadora Splatt, Nathan Setz, Eliza Schiffberg, Schindel Pearl Schraga, Ida Skolnick, Eugene Udelf, Bryna Vidor, Michael Weissman, George Williams, Barbara B. Zutz. And if there are any other names of people you're remembering this week, I invite you to say them. Let me mention, by the way, that we are still observing the Shloshim for Sam Golay, Clifford Pierce, and Charles Grossman, who is the husband of Gracia Brown. Any other names to be mentioned? Those for whom it is the custom to stand during Kaddish Yatom, I ask you to stand as we turn to page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divarach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei dekucha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav. Uyaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated. And now we'll hear some words from Amy Benton.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Amy Benton. I'm one of your board members, as many of you know by now, I hope. I would just like to extend a few thank yous. I want to say thank you to Jenna and Nancy and Catherine and Rabbi Einstein for leading us in prayer and song tonight. It was very moving, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I would also like to extend thanks to the Jew and Leedy families, or one big family, for not only lighting Shabbat candles for us tonight, but also for hosting tonight's oneg in memory of Carol Cooperman. And then I guess last thank you for tonight is, well, Mike and Carly. Yeah, Mike Tucker, thank you. Stand-up job, heavy lifting. Also, thank you to my husband for opening doors. But one announcement I do have, just because it's coming up so soon, Brotherhood is hosting their annual movie night. Happens to be on the 24th of December every year. I'm sure that's an important date for some people. 25th this year, I'm sorry, 25th. I'm so used to it being Christmas Eve, sorry. But it is on the 25th, but RSVPs are due to Arnold Adler by the 22nd, so please, if you would like to attend, contact him. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
The music was particularly nice tonight, and this is so appropriate because, as we've heard, the Cooperman family are hosting the oneg tonight in memory of Carol, and for Carol, it was music that touched her soul so much, Jewish music, and so we're so pleased that members of the family are here and are hosting the oneg, and it's very appropriate. I also want to acknowledge the presence of my dear friends, Charlie and Kathy Niederman. Charlie and I have worked together on the Greater Huntington Beach Interfaith Council for many, many years. Charlie is a past president of Temple Beth David, a major leader nationally in the Men of Reformed Judaism, and it's always a joy to have you here with us. Okay, we are going to conclude with Oseh Shalom, right? So the words are on the same page. It is, in case you missed it, 294. Shalom.
We conclude this portion of our service with Kiddush and Motzi, which we will do here in the sanctuary, and then we will enjoy our nosh in the social hall. Shall we?
Good. Yes.
We ask that you please rise for Kiddush.
You all know what to do, right?
Oh, is it on?
Yes. I don't think so.
Oh. If not, I got another one.
Here we go.
Ha-ha.
Are we live? Still not. Yeah, here we go.
Oh.
No, we're good. All right, you know your part, right?
Uh-huh.
Good. Sabri Chaverai.
L'chaim!
Well, somebody.
I mean, I do. We should try again.
Try it again.
Ready?
Savri Chaverai.
L'chaim!
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher
kishanu b'mitzvoto,
ta ve'atzavanu, Shabbat Kodesh, ve'ahava u'ratzon, henkelanu, zikaron l'matzeh bereshit, ki hu yom techilah,
למקראי קודש, זכר לציון מצרים, כי באנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנהלתנו.
Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen.
This looks very well baked.
So these are lovingly baked by Irene Borsis. Thank you,
Yes.
Irene. We love you.
Thank you, Irene. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Te'avon, please join us for the oneg in the social hall. And again, we thank the Cooperman family, the Jew family, and the Cooperman Jew and Leedy families. Thank you.